Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Whoa, whoa, whoa. How are y'all doing? Talk about some energies. As you can see, I didn't have time. I was on a vacation. Well, vacation. But I was upstate, and you can always look at my Instagram where I post stories. It was really beautiful. I was out in nature. There's something really nice about where you live in the city. You can't see the sky, you can't see the stars. And so it was really nice taking Ruby out there. I went with a friend, just being upstate, hundreds of acres of forest and nature. It was really nice doing some grounding. Happy birthday to all Tauruses. We're entering Taurus season this weekend. And so, as I mentioned in your current forecast, really great time for grounding. So I think that I was saying is like I just didn't have time to. I had to come back. I had to come back and start on your monthly forecast for May and for all 12 signs. So I didn't have time to like turn the computer around, and I just had time to start it up. So here we are. I hope everyone's doing well, y'all. What a time. Let me tell you what's going on. Let me tell you what's going on. First of all, it's great to see y'all. I missed y'all. I hope y'all are doing well. I'm glad and so glad to see y'all. Are you feeling the energies? Are you feeling the energies? Especially Mercury just moved into Aries, right? That just happened. And I don't even know what, gosh, Mars moved into Leo. What was that? What day is today? The 19th? That would be late last night. And so remember, can you tell me if you're feeling that energy, that fiery energy as we move into all this fire and air? I felt it. I had and that was the thing. I was trying to like do some grounding and whatnot. And again, you like look at my Instagram. It's just the tarot ship, but I do stories and whatnot. Well, when I go on these vacations and a lot of photos of me and Ruby and whatnot. But what I'm trying to say is like I got so busy. I got so many phone calls. I got so many texts. I had this to do. I had that to do. I was like, oh my goodness, I need to go. I just need to go home because I need a. There's a lot of things on my home computer, and so that's another thing. Mercury's really amped up right now. You're going to see a lot of communication. You're going to see a lot of that. And one thing that I do want, some things bear repeating. Like I'll never ask you for money. I'll never ask you to do a private reading, and be aware of that because there's a lot of the scam bots that are going around. Scam calls are really on the rise, and I actually fell for one, and it wasn't even a phone call. It was an email from YouTube saying, oh, there's some video that whatever. And it was really in the mornings. Like, okay, I clicked it. And it turns out, funny enough, hours later, I went on YouTube and I saw a YouTube post, a notification saying, hey, we got hacked. So don't click any, and it was from their email address. So that's how good the scammers are getting. Okay. So again, I just want to say that so now there may be some, of course I've reported it, but there may be some people reaching out to saying, hey, do you want a private reading? Like send me money to, this bank account. I will never do that. How are y'all doing? Great to see you. And so, yes, Mercury and Mars now in fire sign. So you're feeling that energy. It is very, very, very fiery. Mars and Leo, remember, that's fiery. Okay. And it's such a dramatic shift. It's like night and day from Mars and Cancer to Mars and Leo now for the next 2 months. So you're probably feeling these amped up energies. And then, in terms of Earth's frequency and the solar flares, and this is something that I posted on Instagram as well, because I do a lot of, I'll let y'all know when we have like really big spikes with the Schumann resonance or anything else that's going on with the solar flares, CMEs. We had some major ones. How have y'all been sleeping the past few nights? Because it should have come around, you know, affecting. So if you go through some headlines, maybe on like Apple News or whatever, you'll see that there were, the aurora borealis in some places that you would never see before. So that is something that the solar flares would do. But then also, I think that it was at Puerto Rico where all their power went out. So things like that. Yeah. Solar flares, but it affects us, right? It affects your energies and your frequencies. You could have really, really heightened intuition. It can affect, the way that you sleep. It can affect your dreams. It can affect your consciousness. And so really, really strong time right now with all these energies, especially the fact that we had Mercury conjunct Neptune as well. We have Mars trining Neptune this weekend. And that's something that I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you about this big announcement, and I'm going to do it at the end of the video, because I don't know if you noticed, and it may, I want you to think about this past week, anything that you may have announced, any conversations that you may have had, or, anything that moved the needle forward, right? And we're still in that window. So it's still very likely, right, that, for the next week, or anything that you heard that was like, wow, that's big. And so remember, we're going through this major paradigm shift with Neptune being freshly new in Aries. Therefore, it's at 0 degrees. It's that, degree of new. It's new beginnings, basically. Let's just leave it simple. 0 degrees. Like I said, think about the Fool card, the creation degree. And so you're gonna see a lot change. You're gonna hear a lot more announcements. For me, I intuitively feel this weekend, tomorrow, even Monday. And then remember, we have the North Node conjunctions coming up this week, as in your current forecast. We have even Venus conjunct Saturn. So there's a lot of energies that we're feeling, that we're going through. And remember, you want to always vibrate at that high frequency, those high expressions, even being responsive, not reactive, because Mercury in Aries can get you really fired up and say things that are really fiery. And so just keep that in mind. A lot of people are going to be speaking their minds. A lot of people are going to be speaking their minds. And again, I'm going to give you some examples toward the end of this, okay? Because I want to tell you about May. But I'm going to give you some examples of some things that were announced this week that you may have missed. But of course, I pick them up and you kind of put them together and you do the math and you're just like, wow, this is really aligning with what's happening. And so, yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. Remember, use crystals. I talked about crystals. Oh, I'm excited. I actually just got some new ones too. I think I talked about tourmaline. I'm going to show you actually. If you want to get it, they all have different effects. And I know that a lot of y'all left messages. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but that's what it looks like. The black one. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Okay. And so really, really, I got hematite, hematite. Look how beautiful that one is. Just to keep it in your hand, just feel it. You feel the energy. Remember, they vibrate. So May, let's talk about May. So as you know, we're the last 2 weeks of April are very critical. And let's not forget, we have the new moon in Taurus as well. But remember what I said, we have Sun square Mars, we have Sun opposite Pluto, we even have Mars opposite Pluto. And so just to give you a little bit of an idea, I know I talked about this in your forecast, but you're going to see some things happen, okay? You're going to see, remember, we're in a time where there's going to be a lot of things coming into your consciousness that you haven't seen or heard. And there is kind of like an echo, a vibration of the last time it happened was, the first week of January. You can even think about the first week of November. So we're moving into that energy too. So just remember, you always want to, and this is why crystals are really great, vibrate at that high frequency. Crystals have frequency. This is my favorite. Is feldspar. It's not even, well, I wouldn't say it's my favorite. This is my favorite, right? the crystal quartz. You can even use there's just so many. Anyway, you get it. So happy birthday to all Taurus. We're moving into your birthday season, and then for everyone in general, y'all. And first of all, Taurus, you're about to. I think I said this in your weekly forecast. Maybe not. I started the May forecast. So what's happening in May? Once a lifetime. It's historic. It's era making. It's a landmark month. And if you saw your annual forecast, you know what's happening. And I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to tell you the best days of May. And there's so many because it's such a great month. We're leaving the intensity of April. Okay. And remember what I said, the last 2 weeks of April are the most intense. And so if you thought the first 2 weeks of April were intense, hey, when you vibrate at that high frequency, remember, it doesn't impact you. You're just like, okay, well, let me adjust to this. Yeah. And so remember that I said, and I don't know if you saw my April 2025, my channeled messages, there are going to be some big things happening. And, just again, take a look at that. I talked about certain natural events, and I did talk about some world leaders. And so just take a look at that. April 2025, my predictions video. But good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. Y'all are amazing. And do some grounding. Yes, please spend some time outside. The healing, the natural healing is amazing. Ruby, as with her, injuries, and they're chronic. So I just seeing the difference of her walking in nature. You can even see it in her eyes, right? You can see it in just walking in grass. It just did so much. It was just did a lot for her. Okay. And it affects you too. When you go to the beach, when you go to the park, when you go on a hike, when you do all that, you feel the difference. So please spend time in nature. Okay. Especially during Taurus season, which is very earthy, earthbound, right? And it's healing. Okay. Now, May 2025. Again, I'll give you some. I'm gonna try again. I will try to not repeat what I say in your monthly forecast for May. And FYI, May. Here's the thing: your readings have been very long, and that's because if you saw your annual forecast, I said that March, April, and May are going to be. There's so many big things happening that we haven't seen in modern human history, and so of course there's a lot to talk about, and there will be in for May, yeah, and so then things, we're moving into in a whole new era. And remember that I said that wave that you've been riding since the middle of March, when we had all those planets conjuncting with the North Node at that 0 degree point, okay? Hovering that 0 degree point, which we've never seen anything like that. But that is that wave that you've been riding. And then we have the North Node activations this week, but we have the North Node, we have a lot more in May. I'll tell you about it. But May, things fine, like there's a sigh of relief. And again, history making. Okay. Nobody on earth has experienced what is about to happen in May. And it is a huge, huge deal. So why don't we break it down? And if you have any questions, please leave them, and then we'll of course I'll get to them. Yeah. And so I'm just very excited, and I want you to get excited because again, we're leaving, and please bear this in mind. We are leaving those strong energies that we've been experiencing from March to April. They're still going to be strong with all that fire and air and with some of the aspects and transits we're having, but the intensity comes down. It's like from a 10 to a 6, 7, 6. It depends on you. It depends on you. Every sign is different, and you're all different. Okay. So May, again, history making, landmark month, epic making. Okay. Epic making. Yeah. And so the reason why, does anybody know why? If you know why, leave it in the comments, right? But And again, I'm going to give you a big announcement. And in terms of like Mercury and Neptune being together for the first time in 164 years this week in Aries, I'm going to tell you some of the announcements that have been going around, and you may have missed them. So I'll do that at the end of the video, of this video, because they're kind of big. And again, really aligning with what's happening. So, and does anybody know what's happening in May that makes it once a lifetime? Let me know. It is one of the best, one of the luckiest months, one of the most auspicious months. There's so much growth. There's so much, prosperity. There's so much joy in May in your lives. Okay. And everyone's going to feel it. All signs are going to feel it. And you're going to be, a lot of y'all are in new eras. Okay. Brand new eras. Okay. And remember, you're at the end of that big wave now. And so now it's time to put things right, to put things in order and make things, happen for you and work for you. So May, the biggest thing of all that is just kind of mind-blowing. Now, let me bring up my notes too, because I want to make sure that I do not miss anything here. And again, some things bear repeating. I'm going to tell you a couple things to look for, the best days for you, and then some challenging days. I'm going to try to avoid the things I say in your monthly forecast. Now, the biggest thing of all, does anybody know? Does anybody know what the biggest thing is happening in May? I may have already told you, but let me just look at the comments. Nope. All right. So May 2025, we're here. Saturn moving into Aries. Okay. Now, why is that such a big deal? Because in your annual forecast, I told you that 2025 is going to be a year we've never seen, right? It is the year of 9. I've talked about that. It's the year of the snake. It's the year of this brand new era. It is, what's happening is all the planets are changing signs, which that's rare, but it's the 4 outer planets that's changing signs in such a compressed period of time that we've never seen anything like this. Okay. If you look at like your 2024 annual forecast or even 2023 or anything like that, it's only like 1 outer planet. It's not like maybe 2. It's 4. All of them. You throw in Jupiter, that's 5. All in this compressed period of time. Again, never have we seen anything like this. They're all moving past and hovering over that 0 degree point, right? So new beginnings, the degree of, creation, the world axis. And I told you 2025 is just the year of, the 4 C's, right? Community, collective, consciousness, courage. But now in May, Saturn moves into Aries. So that is the 3rd outer planet that is now changing signs. Saturn has not been in Aries for 30 years, but Saturn has now joined Neptune. Okay. Remember Neptune moved into Aries. What days is it? 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. They're together. They're together. So you can expect great change. Your things are going to change. They're at that 0-1 degree point. Saturn and Neptune together. Go ahead. So here's the thing. Why is this such a big deal? Saturn and Neptune have not been together since 1703 in Aries. Okay. Remember, Aries is the beginning of the beginning, right? And so Saturn and Neptune together in Aries, we have not seen since 1703. However, I'm going to tell you how rare this is. Okay. Now, remember how I said this is a year where nobody on Earth has ever experienced in modern human history, right? Saturn and Aries together, or Saturn and Neptune together in Aries, has only happened 7 times. That's it. Think of the thousands and thousands of years that have passed. Saturn and Neptune together in Aries only 7 times. So when I say this is history making, epic making, epoch, era making, this is huge, huge. And we're talking about modern human history, right? So the first time that you can trace Saturn and Neptune together in Aries is like the 500 BC, like 590 BC. And I'm sure they've been together in the past, maybe thousands of years, we just don't know, right? But why is this a big deal? Because Saturn and Neptune are together starting in May, and they will be together up until September. Remember, Saturn then leaves and goes back to Pisces. Even Neptune does a little bit of retrograde. And then it's February 2026. I've said this many times to prepare you. That is when Saturn and Neptune will meet and have a conjunction at 0 degrees. And that has never happened. You can't trace that back. I'm sure you can. Maybe 3,000, 4,000 BC. You know what I mean? Like, and so remember, they're conjuncting at 0 degrees, the beginning of the beginning, the great reset, the creation degree. And so what does this mean? Well, it means a lot of things. First, from May, and this was happening May 25th, May 24th, May 25th, depending on where you live, because Saturn's going to move into Aries around midnight, my time, New York City time. So you just want to convert that to wherever you live. But the moment that Saturn moves into Aries, Neptune's already there. And so they're going to be together. They're going to be conjuncting, okay? But not perfecting. And so they're already vibing with each other all summer, okay? And then, of course, they're going to leave. So what does this mean? From May 25th until September, you're getting a preview of what your life is going to be like from February 2026 and beyond, okay? And so when we get to May, what your assignment is, your homework, think about where do you want to be in February 2026 and beyond. And you have all summer to work on that. Okay? This is historic. Again, this is big. And remember, I've said that there's going to be a lot of aspects, and it's a big paradigm shift already with Neptune and Aries. And if you haven't seen that video, I talk about Neptune and Aries. You're already seeing it play out. You're already seeing it play out in the world stage. You're already seeing it play out in your life. Okay. And of course, some people are going to feel it a little bit more than others. It just depends on your birth chart, but you're already feeling the energy. You're going to feel it a lot stronger when Saturn and Neptune are together, because it's not just them together. You have, first of all, they're going to be at that 1 degree point, right? That's powerful. New beginnings. Everybody on this planet you're going to feel that. You're going to have these new beginnings in your life. And that's why you want to move toward it now, with the North Node being very activated. But I think I mentioned this in my Neptune and Aries video. The next 2 years are the most pivotal for everybody on this planet, because that's with the aspects. Okay. Neptune is going to be in Aries for 14 years, but the first 2 years are really, really pivotal. And now that Saturn has joined, or will join in May, they're not only going to be together, right? Saturn and Neptune in Aries, they're sextiling Uranus, they're sextiling Pluto, which you're going to feel a lot more over this summer, a lot more. And remember, sextiles are windows of opportunity, okay? And there's a lot more happening, but remember, Saturn he comes in hard. He's the authority. He is the taskmaster. He is responsibility and discipline. And you remember he puts on the aviators. But look at what is happening. Look at what I just said. Him and Neptune will be sextiling Uranus and Pluto. So he's going to make life easy for you. Okay. He's going to make life, this is okay. Well, easier than before. He doesn't normally give out these opportunities so easily. And so when I say, please take action, because Saturn is karma and karma is everything, right? I talked about this. That's why we say actions have consequences. That's karma. And so you want to take inspired action to change your life. Okay. This is, again, the biggest thing of one of the biggest things of the year. One of the biggest things, because we can talk about Pluto and Aquarius. That just happened, right? We haven't experienced that in 250 years. Neptune moving into Aries, we haven't experienced that in 164 years. And so again, just those two alone, nobody on this planet has experienced. But now you throw in Saturn moving into Neptune with Aries or with Neptune in Aries, that's been 300 years. Okay. But then don't forget the fourth of those four planets, Uranus, is moving into Gemini for the first time in 84 years. So unless you're over 8, you haven't experienced that either. And that will complete the 4 planets changing signs. June, Jupiter will change signs. Jupiter's leaving Gemini, moving into Cancer. That's 5. All in this compressed, it just never happens. These outer planets, that never happens. Never happens. I've never seen this. I've never seen this. So big. Like, you listen, that's why I just try, like, I've been trying to prepare you with this big wave. Yeah, you're going to feel overwhelming energies. There's going to be a lot of changes. But you create your reality. Okay. You create your reality. And I even break that further down in your monthly forecast. Saturn is reality. And remember, you want to work with his rules and you want to work with him. He's trying to build you a bridge. He's all about the long term, long term gains and goals and profits, even, and commitments. And Saturn will conjunct Venus, what your heart desires. That's happening this week. So it's you're making these new commitments, because when Saturn moves into Aries at 0 degrees, yeah, I think it might be 1 degree. I got to double check. He's asking you, because it's the beginning of the beginning. Let's break down old structures. Okay. Let's break down old systems and structures and create new ones. All right. So again, a lot of y'all are already in different places in your life right now. And that's amazing. You're passing Saturn's test. And a lot of y'all will be changing. Okay. So that is the biggest thing of May. It is one of a kind. It's once a lifetime. 300 years. Come on, 300 years? That's really big. So get ready. And remember, everyone's going to feel it differently. Every sign is going to have a different focus in their life, what Aries represents. And for every sign, it rules a different house. And you do want to read your sun and rising, and because I still get a lot of questions about that. I just did a live stream explaining it, but I still get a lot of comments about it. So every sign I'm going to talk about sun and rising and why it's important. Okay. And it's one of the reasons why your video is going to be like an hour long again, but it is a big month. May is such a big month. So I want you to get excited about that, and just know your life is changing in a really big way. And I know that's like a big statement, but it's a big month. It's a month that we've never experienced. It's a month that nobody on this planet has experienced, because now it's not just like one thing or 2 things or 3 things. It's like 10 things that are happening in May that nobody on this planet has experienced. That's why it is once a lifetime. That's why it's era making. Okay. And yes, you are gonna see changes happen in this world. Again, I talk about that a lot in my last live stream, all right? In the April 2025, where channeling my predictions. I think a lot of y'all know that I did mention like California and the earthquakes, and then there was the earthquake literally the next day. So check those out. Check out that, because I talk about the astrology too. Everyone's going to be going through some great change because there's a lot of other things happening in May. So I just want to make sure that's in your consciousness. I want you to, because yes, these next 2 weeks will be intense, and there's going to be some things happen. And there's going to be some things that might try to pull you into low energy frequencies with Mars opposite Pluto, with the T square, with everything that's happening in the next 2 weeks. But I want you to stay on your path and your journey and not get distracted and adjust to these changes so you come out on top, okay? It's like a game of is it rugby? I don't know. Anything where there's like that pileup of all the athletes and you're the one with the ball or the football, whatever it is, at the bottom, and then you come out on top. You're like, all right, whatever. I'm more powerful than all this. I believe in myself. It happens in movies, right? Rudy, maybe? I don't know. Does anybody have any questions about Saturn moving into Aries, joining Neptune, which hasn't happened in 300 years in Aries? Here's the thing. Saturn and Neptune do conjunct. Often. I mean, well, I think the last time was actually 1989, but not in Aries. Again, Aries is the beginning of the beginning. Aries is the pioneering spirit. Aries is the initiator. Aries is the entrepreneur. Aries is that leadership, take charge, take life by the horns energy. Aries is I am. Yeah. So again, that's what makes it a big deal at that 1 degree point. All right. So, any questions about any of that? All right. So, why don't I tell you some other things that are happening? All right. And again, that of course, I'm going to talk about a lot more and what every sign can expect in your forecast, because it's just you can't not talk about that. But let me give you some really great days. And here's the thing. Again, there's a lot. There's a lot. Like I said, May is completely different from April. It's a huge shift. And you're going to see the energies are working with you now, a lot more with you. And not that they weren't, but you'll see that we're coming out of that intensity, like I said, and a lot of powerful aspects. And so, why don't I? And the other great thing about May is that there's no oppositions. We're out of it. We're in the clear. And of course, that's excluding the lunations like the moon or even the asteroids and fixed star, all of that, but planetary wise. So that's great. And there's only a few squares. The biggest thing about May, other than it being a once a lifetime, groundbreaking, game changing, life changing month, other than that, there are a lot of Mercury aspects. So there's going to be you're going to be having a lot of conversations. You're going to be having a lot of communication. You're going to be doing a lot of agreements, signing contracts, signing leases, possibly. There's a lot of Mercury aspects. Okay. Remember Mercury, Hermes, Mercury, it's starting new businesses, Mercury, the merchant, mercantile, selling things, travel, we're talking about Mercury here. So a lot of y'all are going to be doing a lot of that, but with a lot of the aspects that are very Mercury related, it's big. Okay, a lot of communication. You're going to be communicating like you never have before. And remember, that's the domain for Mercury would also be like advertising and marketing and PR, things like that. So like even social media, likely, yeah. A lot of family energy with what's happening in May. So just keep that in mind. Um, so let's talk about one of the best aspects that is happening right off the bat would be, I'll leave it here. I'll do I forgot how to do it. Banner? Yeah, banner. Okay. I'll put in the banner. Because I think that oh gosh, I forget how to do it. Um oh, I know how. Here we go. All right. So this is the luckiest day of May. Okay. May 5th, you have Mercury sextile Jupiter. And the reason why, Jupiter is a planet of luck, good fortune, abundance, expansion, profit, right? All of that. We love Jupiter. And you've got Mercury sextile Jupiter. And again, don't want to give too much away here. Your forecast will be out very soon. But there's a lot of other things happening around this time that really amplify this energy. Sextiles are windows of opportunity. They're for you to take, but you have to take action. Of course, as always, I always say use these aspects. But here you go. A message, wonderful news that you hear. There's maybe you get the job now. Maybe you get that promotion. Maybe you get the house. Maybe you get, it's like you may hear great news around this time, or you may make an announcement that's really wonderful, or you may sign a contract, or do you know what I mean? All every like everything that I said about Mercury, okay? You may take a wonderful trip that is really inspiring, but everyone's going to feel this. And this is the only Jupiter aspect of me. Well, there's another one. Jupiter is going to be with the North Node and the South Node, but we'll talk about that when we get to your weekly forecast. It's just a bigger story. So please use this. Yeah, mark it in your calendar. Now, there's so many amazing things, but oh, that's my phone. But I'm going to put in another one here, and I want you to mark it in your calendar. And if you saw your annual forecast, and I announced this in every single, no matter what sign you are, all 12 signs, please mark this in your calendar. I told you that this is one of the best new moons of 2025 in your annual forecast. And it is. It is. It's one of the best. It's even luckiest. Remember, Jupiter is in Gemini. Yeah. And Jupiter is going to have a lot of, in terms of lunations with the moon. And again, you always want to watch your moon. That's why I always talk about the moon and the lunations in the second spread, because yeah, sometimes the moon is more powerful than the planetary aspects I talk about. There's going to be some Jupiter, but anyway, here you go. You got one of the best new moons. Plant seeds. Okay, this is one of the best new moons because of 2025, because it will be, Mercury is sextiling Saturn here. Saturn bringing stability to anything you sign or agreements you make, or you know what I mean, with Mercury. This is going to be trining Pluto and sextiling Neptune. I mean, I can't even there Mercury is going to be trining Pluto. I think I told you that. There's just so many wonderful things. And around this time, and this is happening, by the way, literally the day after Saturn moves into Aries. It's the last week of May is bonkers auspicious, bonkers amazing. So you may even want to circle the entire week of May, that last week of May in your calendar. It is above and beyond. And remember what I said about June. You haven't even, I mean, talk about being rewarded. Wait until June. One of the best months of 2025. That's, you know what? June would be the luckiest month of 2025. May is one of the best months of 2025 as well. May and June. Yeah. But there is one thing. And then happy birthday, Geminis, by the way. We're moving into Gemini season on the 20th. There's just likely around this new moon where you could get surprising news too. Unexpected, wonderful, surprising news around this time, something for the long haul. Or you could have a big idea that, I don't know, maybe you pitch it to Hollywood and you get, do you know what I mean? Like, this is because Mercury will conjunct Uranus too. Breakthroughs, surprises, like it's bonkers. It's bonkers. And Mercury will be in Gemini at this point. That's another thing. Again, well, I just don't want to, I'm just going to give you these are standout. These are standout. One other thing, and I know this is going to be like, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. We've had this before, but I would even mark this May 22nd, Venus trine Mars. Now, we did have this recently. We had it 2 times already. However, they were retrograde, or they were in fallen signs, or they were, do you know what I mean? Like, now you have Venus in Aries, Mars in Leo, 2 fire signs. And this is, if you're here for romance, there you go. If you're here for relationships, there you go. This is fiery. This is Mars in Leo, right? Which is royal, by the way. It's like, remember, it's great, and it's creativity. If you're here for creativity, creative projects, amazing. If you're here for sex, that's Venus and Mars. That's Venus and Mars. Okay. Now, one thing I'm going to say, if Venus is what your heart desires, Mars is how you get it. You have to take that action. But a lot of y'all, with this aspect, you're just going to see things happen. Okay. Just put yourself out there. Put yourself out there. All right. And again, there's so many amazing aspects. I don't want to ruin anything for your monthly forecast. And again, they are long again. Some are even going over an hour because there's just so much to talk about. Because for once a lifetime, paradigm shifting, game changing, never history making month of May, of course, there's a lot to tell you. But I want to just make sure that you mark these in your calendar. And I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. You just let me, if you want one more, let me know. But your forecasts are going to be out soon, and you're going to see. Now, just a couple challenging aspects to be mindful of is, there we go. Mid-month. We do have a full moon in Scorpio. So any Scorpio watching this, of course you're going to be impacted. Yeah. Any fixed signs like Taurus, obviously it's happening in Taurus season. Aquarius and Leo, of course they're going to feel this, but everyone's going to feel this. Why? Because the moon in Scorpio, and I don't know if you know this, moon in Scorpio is already a little intense. And so what makes this a little bit extra is that there are a couple squares happening. There's a Mercury will square Pluto. All right. Of course, you can use it. Like I say, you can always use these aspects. There are ways you can use it that are positive, that benefit you. And I talk about that in your forecast. Okay, for every sign. But just know there's something coming to conclusion with the full moon in Scorpio, or a turning point, and it will likely be something about you and your transformation. Okay. your personal transformation, something that you've got to let's go. And it could be really psychological. There could be a lot of shadow work you're doing. It can have to do with a partnership, relationship, a really, you're like really going deep, or finances as well. Okay. Because we are in Taurus season, a sign of finances, and then you have the full moon in Scorpio that also represents finances, but more of taxes and inheritance and investments and commissions and bonuses and things like that. Okay. So everyone's going to feel this, but some will feel it more. Some may not even like, it's just like, okay, I'm going to end this. Right. So it's how you use it. And I'm just going to give you one more date here to look out for, other than, remember, Saturn moving into Aries is the biggest of all. The biggest of all. That's May 24th, 25th, depending on where you live. It's happening like right at the stroke of midnight. I think it's like 11:30 p.m. I gotta double check that, but it is happening like right. And a lot of these aspects, by the way, like for instance, this full moon in Scorpio, I think I gotta double check that. But some of these, I think actually, there's a couple that's happening like right at midnight, basically. I'm gonna give you one more, okay? And this is gonna be how you use it. This one is very, it depends on you. That's what this one is, okay? This depends on you. So May 17th, we have the Sun conjunct Uranus, all right? And so we have a Uranus Cassini that only happens once a year. This is the time it's happening. It's happening in Taurus, okay? And remember, Uranus is only in Taurus for 2 more months at this point. We're finishing up that cycle that started in 2018. Uranus moved into Taurus in 2018. So think about where, that even like the new moon in Taurus, what Taurus rules in your chart? It's Uranus will move into Gemini, where it does so much better. So we have that to look forward to this summer. Now, the Sun conjunct Uranus, remember, Uranus is breakthroughs. It's the great awakener. There's something waking you up. Like, I needed to see this, or you having a breakthrough, you doing something to shake things up, to shake up your routine. That's what Uranus wants you to do. However, it is also the unexpected and surprises. And so around this time, there could be something here where it's, something unexpected may happen. And remember, this is happening pretty much, it's a conjunction, it's strong. So you will feel it during the full moon. So there may be something surprising around the full moon as well. Okay. Remember, Taurus is in general, by the way, Taurus is just, it rules finance. I told you, Scorpio, it's also money. So there may be something here. Obviously you're going to see this play out on the world stage. But in your personal lives, it's different for everybody. Okay. But it's how you use it. Remember, Uranus is all about freedom. It's freeing yourself from something that you may need to see. And so use this, because look what's happening. It's happening during the full moon, right? Because it's a conjunction. You'll feel it like, starting around the full moon. And so the full moon is going to illuminate for you. It's in Scorpio. There's something deep. What do you need to release or free yourself from? That's how you use this. What do you have to break free from? What do you need to, and a lot of y'all, the moon is the subconscious, right? And Scorpio is very psychological and it's deep. And so there you go. And Uranus likes to shake things up. And so again, for most of y'all, it didn't even matter what sign you are. Yeah, you will likely go pretty deep around this time, preparing yourself for the insane amount of incredible auspicious aspects that are happening the second half of May. But again, remember, they're happening in the beginning of May too, right? And I haven't I'm just giving you a couple because I don't want to give away your monthly forecast. But this is how you use it. This is your get out of jail for free card, the Sun conjunct Uranus. Okay. You got to use this. Please use this. You only get this once a year. And again, for a lot of y'all, it could be just something surprising, unexpected, with all these other amazing aspects that are happening. That just happens for you. You're like, oh, whoa, that happened? Amazing. And if there is something that does happen that you see unfavorably at the time, you have to see it as it's clearing the slate. Because if you haven't let go of the things that you need to let go, and I've been telling you this for months, the planets are asking you, we're about to move into this brand new era, and you can't bring a lot of baggage. And so if you're still holding on to things that you intuitively know, I maybe have to let this go. And Uranus comes in and says, listen, you didn't let it go. Psh, I'm letting it go for you. And then you're like, what? And then you're like, and you're still holding to that energy. Remember, this is for you. Okay. It doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. All right. So I just want to make that clear, because you're about to enter this brand new era starting on the 25th with Saturn and Neptune in Aries, with, the Sun trine Pluto, with Mercury conjunct Uranus, with the new moon in Gemini, this brand new, beautiful beginning. It's an exciting new moon. And then remember, that's clearing the path, and it's making this big path for you for June, the luckiest month of 2025. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot happening. There's a lot happening in May. And it's definitely going to be a time where you're going to want to clear the decks. Is anybody feeling you should be feeling change. You should have started feeling it in March, and you're going through it. And I have to say this in every sign. When I say plant seeds, it's not even just new moons. It's every day. I tell you to manifest every day, set intentions every day. That's what you want to do. That helps you vibrate at this high frequency, puts you on the path that you want to be on. But you can also do it during conjunctions. You can also do I mean, like, there's always these windows of opportunity, and that's why I give you these dates. When I say plant seeds, you can't expect a tree the next day, okay? Because with the energies right now, where, like, even with like Mercury and Aries and Mars and Leo, that can be a little like impatience, like, I want this now. No, that's not how the world works. That's not how things work. For some of y'all, yeah, it can happen. Like, if you're vibrating on that frequency, you put things in order, you made things happen. Yeah, you can plant a seed and get something, the next day. But for these big life changes, it's gradual. That's remember, you're coming after that big wave, and you're moving into this insanely amazing summer. I can't even begin to tell you, like, yeah, sure. There's still, and of course, there's still going to be some challenging aspects every month. That happens all the time. All right. Even June. Yep. It is the luckiest month. However, we have our last Jupiter Saturn square. That's the end of that. Just like this month, we have our last Mars Pluto opposition. That's the end of that. And so there's still, we've got those to work through. But what do I say? Challenges make us grow, they make us stronger, right? They empower us. So does anybody have any questions about anything that I just said? Anything that any of the aspects? And again, a lot happening. Carrie, great to see everybody. Let's see. Carrie from Cape Town. Did we cut your holiday short? No, of course not. No way. No. Of course not. But thank you for asking. And maybe when I finish this batch, I can maybe drive back up. Good morning, Tammy. Good morning, Lori. You look great. That grounding did you good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Michelle, thank you so much, Lori. Michelle, you're feeling a lot of the energy. Yes. And Black Tourmaline. Yes, your favorite. Okay, so y'all, oh my gosh, I'm glad that I'm just scrolling through your comments. I'm glad that you're everything is like happening. And listen, like May is going to be big. There's something for everybody to look forward to. Everyone, everyone, everybody. Okay. Um, Ellen, you asked, how will this impact Aquarius? Well, Aquarius, here's the thing, like a lot of the fixed signs, remember everything, and this is for everybody, all the cardinal signs have really been feeling a lot of, with Mars and Cancer. And so there's that shift where if you're Capricorn, all the cardinal signs, right? Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, and Libra. Oh, you're going to feel a big vibe shift starting now, actually. And it's the same thing with like fixed signs. They kind of had like a little bit of a, we're on the back burner for now, but now we're in Taurus season. Now you have Mars opposite Pluto. Pluto is in Aquarius. Yeah. And of course, it affects everybody differently. Depends on, what house it's in. We have that new moon in Taurus, but it's a T square. Remember, plant seeds, set intentions from the heart. And then in May, Pluto will be pretty active. So, and we're, in Taurus season, but, and this is again for anybody. I mean, the full moon in Scorpio is going to affect everybody differently, but then we have all these Pluto aspects, and then we move into Gemini season. Remember, Jupiter is trining Pluto in Aquarius, so everyone's and again, everyone feels that in different areas of your chart. Okay, like I say, May's going to be bonkers amazing. Of course, there's we have a few squares. Just be mindful about the way you speak because you're with Mercury. You could say things that are just like, right? And or you could hear news that gets you like, remember, everything's happening for you, okay? So let me tell you about what was the message, right? What was the message that happened? And I'm going to make this really quick. So remember that I said that this past week we had a lot happen. So this past week we had Mercury moving into Aries, which is really fiery. Okay. And then we had Mercury conjunct Neptune. I said that's a megaphone. You're going to be hearing some big messages. That was on the 16th. That's a conjunction. So you feel it, right? It's powerful. Those planets are really, really working with each other. Mercury all about communication. And then Mars moving into Leo is fiery. Yeah. AF. And of course, we have the aspects that are happening. Mercury even sextiling Pluto. When is that? That's actually tomorrow. So you're going to be feeling that today. Yeah. Sextiles, remember, you want to give it a few days before, a few days after. So people are really speaking their minds. Have you noticed that? And they're not holding back. And so one of the things that I saw that was like, oh, that was a big backlash was I don't know if you saw, there was like a couple celebrities that went on a trip to space. It wasn't really, they were just above the karma line. Do y'all remember that on the space, yeah? There was a big famous singer and like a newscaster and whatever. And people spoke. And remember, we have Pluto in Aquarius, where it's all about humanity. It's all about the collective. And so that's a big example because, listen, whatever, they did it. It was a great PR stunt. But a lot of people were not happy with it because it was only 11 minutes. And yeah, it does have an impact on our, ozone and things like that. And I think it costs like $1 billion or something. I don't even know. But here's the thing. You saw people not happy with that. Even the fast food chain that did that tweet, that you know? And so, sure, it was that's a good example of Mercury in Aries. Okay. Um, really good example. And even with Neptune at play too. Okay. Because Neptune is in Aries. Remember, the spiritual warrior. And so a lot of people were just saying, dude, that $1 billion could have gone to there's so many things happening in the world right now, right? Or why don't you actually send up real female astronauts to do something? Like, what was the takeaway here? That was a lot of the big, yeah, people did not hold back. And it was even like big, bold faced names that did come at them. And listen, whatever. That's just you, like, you do you. That's whatever. It's fine. But I'm just trying to give an example of what the energies are going to see play out to come with some of the other aspects. Okay. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? I'm trying to leave this a little like, like, I don't want to like insult your intelligence. Like, you already know what I'm talking about, but also at the same time, like, I hope that you can pick up on these cues. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. So y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay. Um, so again, yeah, it's like, why was that even, yeah, why was that even, and it wasn't, them going to, it wasn't a big achievement. That's what they pitched it as, think about like the millions of dollars that they spent on PR for this too. Again, it could have gone to like real female astronauts actually doing something, having an impact on the world, or uh, use that money for, I don't know, the hurricane victims in North Carolina. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it just didn't. Anyway, a lot of people spoke out, and I do get it, and I see it. All right. Now, another thing that happened that, again, just to know, and again, that's a lot of like Pluto and Aquarius anyway. Like, it's all about the collective. It's all about the people having power, but it's also like with Neptune and Aries. Again, you're seeing that, right? And Mercury, like, people not holding back, in fact, and your consciousness is expanding, as I said. And so there's gonna be, with Mars opposite Pluto coming up, remember, with Pluto, it's always, there's got to be some breakdowns for some breakthroughs. And again, you're gonna see that. So another thing that I saw this past week, and again, you're gonna see a lot more of these messages, is because of this bold, fierce Aries, Mercury and Aries energy, Mars and Leo energy, Neptune and Aries energy. You're going to see a lot of what a lot of people talking. So there was a celebrity who did announce, and I said this way back. It may have been August when I said Hollywood is going to change dramatically because people are going to be doing differently. Anyway, I talked about that. So there was, a celebrity that did come out and was basically said that um they're gonna start pulling like back the curtain and let the public know what actually, happens in Hollywood. And they're gonna have receipts, and of course, like, everyone's saying like, oh yeah, this and that, and the E name, and right. But that was kind of a big deal. And then, okay, so three different things happened at once with the last thing, the big announcement. And remember, I'm just saying this because it's in line with what's happening now, your consciousness expanding, and just to prepare you for some things that you may see or hear that you never have in your lifetime. Okay. So, and again, these are three things that all happened last week. Three different people saying the same thing last week. And I don't know if it was organized or, I don't know if it was like constructed for this to happen. So, like, but anyway, there is, let me add his name, and you can like Google him. I don't even know if I I'm gonna put it in I'm gonna put in I'm putting the banner. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if you know who this guy is, but you can like Google him and you can go back to like what he announced last week. So he was the former undersecretary of defense for the Department of Defense. He basically is like the CTO. He's and the CTO. Like basically, he works for the Department of Defense, and so I won't go into his entire speech because he gave a really long speech. But he did, and let me see if I actually wrote it down. Quote for quote, he said he was talking about our technologies and how like the US is like backwards and blah blah blah. Like look at our roads compared to other countries. Look at our infrastructure. Look at our airports that are, not been updated and since the 80s. And he was like he was going at it. And I'm not sure if it was a slip up, but he literally said that we have technologies so advanced they actually manipulate time and space, and literally said that because he was talking about energy transportation. He was talking about manufacturing and things like that. And if you go through his speech that he said, it was 3 days ago, he spoke at like a college or something, I don't know, but he did say that he's worked in the industry for for the government or whatever, engineering 30 years. And he basically said we have technology right now that we haven't released to the public, and I think that we should, but they're things that can not only manipulate time and space, but we like things that are like that can give free energy, things like that. It was just like, okay, that's fine. But 2 days 2 days before that, and actually no, the day of that, um there was, oh gosh, I forget his name. There was another oh yeah, okay, so this is another person that, well, actually, I'm sorry, I mixed it up. That was okay. So this is another person. It was a day before, or the day of, and he was the one that was actually talking about like transportation and like manufacturing, and he was saying that um the same thing, like we have technologies right now that are benched. um our scientists or engineers, like my friends that are engineers and scientists, like where on Earth we have the technology to put people send someone anywhere on Earth within an hour. We have technology to deliver Wi-Fi from space where you don't need a cell tower, you don't need that to connect. We have technology where you can get energy from space to the Earth where you don't need to plug things in. Even like for cars too, like technology that um we have the power of all of this. And he said, and I'm looking at I just pulled up the page. He said, the nature of power, you either have it or you do not, and you must submit. If you do not, if you must submit. And we've seen it play out in history, and it's playing out now. Those are his words. So again, someone else alluding to the fact that we have, our military, whatever, has technology they've just been sitting on for 30 years. The public doesn't know about. And that's what they do. And I'm not saying this is like, you can even think about like, I don't know, the internet, for instance, like that's a good example. Like the military had that for 20 years before it went public. And it's not like, it's just public knowledge. So the third person, and I don't know if you remember this, but the third person is, oh shoot, um is this, and this person, okay, um oh wait, maybe that's, oh wait, no, I think it's, Okay, so I'm adding this banner. So this person, I don't know if you saw that when he was doing, I think, an interview at the press conference, and I don't want to. I'm not going to actually say it. I'm going to write it here. And this was, I think, the day that he raised the tariffs. I'm gonna write what he oh shoot, it won't let me okay, anyway, so I'm just gonna put it here because this is what was said, and it's in line with what the other two people said. I know it cut off, but I'll add this. Okay, so that was like the end of it, basically. And so that was within 2 days of each other, or 2 days, that those 3 top officials said that. And so, again, when I say that there's gonna be some things that you're gonna see and etc., even like the orbs, I even told you, like, back in December, January, how, like, we've just never, nobody on Earth has seen anything like that. All these orbs coming out of the water, the drones, right? All over the world. I told you, listen, they're ours. They're not, some of them, yes, some of them are. And you're gonna see that when Uranus moves into Gemini over the summer. A lot more of the, you know, that I talked about in April in your life, or I've talked about many times, okay? Like UAPs and things like that. But anyway, that's what I'm talking about. And the fact that when I said, you know, the Mercury conjunct Neptune is a big megaphone, and there's got to be some things that with Neptune and Aries, it's just like your consciousness is expanding anyway. So it's like expanding your consciousness. Just be aware that there may be some with Pluto that's going to be very active soon. And Pluto, remember, reveals, yeah, brings things to the surface and has been. So I just thought that was interesting. But again, you can Google any of those people. It's nothing like, they're all public. All their speeches are public. But I just thought it was interesting within a 2-day time frame that and it was like, what is going on here? That was, and it's almost like they're at this point where it's almost like kids, kids that have like, they're giggly and they have this secret and they just know something and they're just like, can't wait to tell people. That was kind of like the energy that I was getting. It was all happening when Mercury conjunct Neptune. And again, you're with Mercury and Aries, that people are just going to be, so there's going to be a couple more things that you hear. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I know that was such a weird, and it should have like, but uh does that make sense for y'all? Does that make sense? Like, it's just some of the things that have happened since January, and I've talked about this in every live stream that I do every month when I do predictions and channeling. You've already seen it. But and I'm not talking about the orbs and the drones. I'm like, you've seen it, but you just didn't know. And the public didn't, like, I mean, of course I'm channeling, so I see it, but you're gonna start seeing it play out a little bit more. It's just gonna be interesting, but again, it's gonna be more talk first. Anybody have any questions about that? Carrie, you said, oh, well, let me see. Okay, yeah. Okay. Lori, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right. The let's do something for humanity. Astronauts, they're not. Yeah. And well, it's true. I mean, but like again, like you, it's just humanity's like waking up, paying attention, and it's like remember, power to the people. Pluto and Aquarius, power to the people. So always, and remember, Neptune and Aries, spiritual warrior, compassionate, visionary, leader, hero, all of that. Embrace that energy. We can shift timelines. I told you that. Um, Michelle, you said you watch Sean Ryan, and he's had a few whistleblowers who have mentioned what you're talking about. Oh, interesting. I want to go look at that. Okay. Um, and that's another thing is that this happens all the time, and there's an element of even like when Edward Snowden came out, what was that, 2013, 2014? Do you remember that he was a big whistleblower, but I think it was illegal at the time. It was illegal to be a whistleblower, and I think that's not the case anymore. But again, don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. But remember, he even came out and said, hey, the government is actually spying on everybody, the entire world, and has been for decades. And people are just like, what do we even do about this? And they're just like, okay, whatever. But now that Pluto is in Aquarius, when these things happen, you're going to see people stand up and say no. And you see that. You've seen that. We're moving in that direction anyway. Even a lot of movements that have been happening. And yeah, so it's a big thing, big thing. Okay. And that was a big deal. I mean, it was like true, like NSA is, yeah, and he worked at the CIA and things like that, but he came out and told everybody, and he actually, like, it was a big deal. Yeah, so yeah, Carrie, you said they have the power to release this tech and industries will lose billions. That's a thing, but again, with Pluto, there's got to be breakdowns for breakthrough, right? Sometimes when you build something and it doesn't work, you just it's like we got to burn it to the ground and build it back up. And so that's why I say that this is going to be a year of change, and you're going to see some things change, and you're going to see some change. Okay? But it's a process, many years process. That's why I say you can't plant a seed and expect a tree the next day. I'm not saying that you're like whatever, but it's a process. Okay. But you're already seeing it. You're gonna see it more soon. Actually, what is it? April 19th? Very soon. And in May. And that's the other thing. Like I said, even though May is an amazing auspicious month for everybody, remember your horoscopes are different from mundane astrology. It's very different, right? So anyway. Um yeah. Okay. M. Lopez, you said it's all on YouTube for all to watch the speeches. Yeah, yeah. You any of the names that you can look at. I mean, literally, like I think one was at a school, and I don't remember where the other, but I was just like, wait a minute, didn't the other guy at the government just say this? And so it was after the main one said something, and it was like, yeah, of course. Why are you making that public? I think, but it was like you can tell it's like, yeah, I think a lot of people were not happy that, like, in the inside, were not happy that that happened, but whatever. That's just what it is. Um, Michelle, you said hi from Santa Barbara. My help says orbs first and more Nordic looking human looking within a year. Hi from Mike and San Michelle. Yeah, so and I'll talk about this in my next live stream, okay? Because I see the time here and I want y'all to go to brunch and do your things. But um remember the last live stream I said, and maybe I'll get in the habit of start repeating a lot of the things because I know that a month will pass and sometimes but I like remember I said they're already here. And I think you're agreeing with me here, and it's gonna be soon. Yeah, that like yes. Michelle, yes. Um, Carrie said next needs to be pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, there's going to be a big change. And remember, that was something that I predicted last year. It was like you're going to see a big change in healthcare, and I also there's even in my last live stream, there's something about vaccines that's still strong, that's at a strong vibration with me. There's and I think that I got to look at the news a little bit more. And that's the other thing. Like, I got to look and see what's happening with that. But that's still staying with me. All right. But healthcare is changing. And remember, the South Node's in Virgo anyway, and Virgo rules healthcare. So there's going to be adjustments anyway throughout the year. So Denise, you said, I've seen those orbs in 3 of my whole life. From when I was about 3. Whoa, I've always thought of them as my guardian angels, helpers. Yes, yes. And remember, they're on our side. They're on our side. Okay. And again, I think that you're gonna start seeing a lot more again soon. Even just like on maybe even social media. And it's almost like, remember how I said this is the year of the Great Awakening, and you're going to see things that you've never seen in your life, and you already have started to this year. A lot of things you couldn't even imagine, like that's going to happen this year. Okay, and I'll walk you through it every single time, every live stream when I channel, even in your forecasts. Okay. Um, Michelle, your vibration went up with what I said. Good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Jennifer, Philippines. Yes, much love. Much love. Great to see. Well, I wonder what time it is over there. M. Lopez, I feel my energy shifting and noticing weird things happening with electricity in my home. Yes, remember, and then maybe I'll post it and on Instagram, because I do sometimes show you the actual graphs and charts of the Schumann's resonance. And why don't I do that now? The past few days, it's been a little bit off the charts. And this will be the last thing I do before I let y'all go. But and there's an app you can, if you want to like look it up, there's an app and everything. And there's oh, why is it not? There it is. Okay, so but it has, but okay, so the other thing is, yes, I can't remember if I made this prediction last month or the month before. I really can't remember. But yeah, there may be some power outages. Like power grids. All right. So I think that I mentioned this, that it is actually like 1000% gonna happen. And I'm not talking like just Puerto Rico, like and okay. So just FYI, all right. But remember, like I said, you're gonna be experiencing a lot of things. There's like we're in a year like reset, and it's like a reset, but for some things. But let me see if I can just share this real quick. And yes, I think I can. Oh wait, no, that's not. Okay, well, I can't. So let me just why is it not? Anyway, okay. I don't think I can. Oh yeah, I can. I'm sorry. Here it is. Okay. There we go. Can you see that? There it is. That's the past few days. These are, look at these huge spikes, right? Even and this I think is GMT or something like, what is, I can't, yeah, that's today. So this is like 8 hours ahead or whatever. So you're still right. Whoa. All right. And this is like normal when it's just like green and blue. So these are really big spikes of, let's just call it energy. Easier. I mean, like I know I can talk and I know I can like go on and on. So let's call it energy. Shifts, spikes, Earth's frequency. So yeah. So I'm glad that you're excited for things to come. All of y'all. Carrie, you said there was a vaccine press release on Tuesday. Oh, interesting. All right. Well, I'll take a look. I'll go. That's the other thing. Like I said, like sometimes I just don't have, and like sometimes I get coordinates when I channel. I still haven't plugged them in, and they're still in my notebook, but I have to like go eat now and take Ruby out, and then I have to do your videos because I missed 3 days. All right, so y'all are amazing. Listen, I hope you're having a really wonderful weekend. Take advantage of all these opportunities. Yeah. Take advantage of all these wonderful opportunities. You're going to feel things move really fast. You're going to see some big announcements. Okay. They're going to keep coming. All right. You're also going to see some things happen with Mars opposite Pluto. Okay. And I've tried to make that very clear. Just think of like the first week of January. But this is the last one. But in your personal lives, use this. All right. Do some karate, go do grounding, because it is amplifying energy within you. Mars and Pluto, two powerful planets, but also remember the T square and then the Sun square Pluto, Sun square Mars. Like there's a lot of that. And then you've got your North Node conjunction. 2 of them. All next week. There's a lot. So but again, May is this huge, beautiful breath of fresh. Like there's so much wonderful stuff happening in May. So much wonderful stuff that I'm excited for you to experience. And well, we're a team. We're in this together. So y'all, it's so great seeing y'all. All right. I'm gonna let y'all go. I gotta finish your forecast. All right, they're gonna be long, but I promise you, I'll cut them. I'm gonna have to. They're just too long. They're too long. One of them, I just, I won't even tell you. I'll just surprise you, okay? But I hope that maybe you can listen to them while you go for a long walk, or maybe you're taking a long, like a really hot, nice, wonderful bath, or you're doing gardening and you're listening to it. Just take your time. Take your time. I know I give you a lot of information. So y'all are amazing. Thanks so much for being here, for being members, for support. It's so helpful. You have no idea. It's so helpful. And I'm gonna post photos soon of Ruby and her knee brace. It was custom made, and there's a whole story behind that. And it's just like she needs a knee brace now, and so I don't know if it fits. Anyway, but it's just been like an ongoing thing. But she's great. She's good. She misses y'all. She's making little cameos in some of your readings. All right. And remember, watch for your sun and rising. That's your sun is 50%. Your rising's 50% of your full horoscope. You get the full story when you see your sun and rising. And I am going to start getting in the habit of, maybe even telling you, like, even like when you watch for your sun, sometimes there's aspects, it's not about you. Yeah. It's not, that would be your right. It would be more about like your husband, your lover, your whoever, your kid, or who. It just wherever, but it depends on the aspect, what house it's in. But that's why you want to, and your moon. Please watch your moon. When you go through emotional moments, and you got to watch your moon. Remember, I even gave you the example of all those things that were hitting my Virgo moon. Y'all saw what happened to me every time. Like I said, sometimes the lunations are more impactful than the planetary aspects. You feel them a lot more because it's your emotions, it's your subconscious, it's your maternal side. Things are going on at home or family or loved ones. That's the moon. That's the moon. It's very, anyway. I can talk. You see my Jupiter and you see my Gemini rising coming out. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Y'all are amazing. I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend. And and I'm gonna have new merchandise soon. That's been like 6 months in the works. I just haven't had any time. I know I get your comments about that. I'm excited to put them out. I'm excited to show y'all. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Y'all are amazing. Have a wonderful weekend. And again, happy Taurus season. Happy birthday to all Tauruses. Happy birthday to late Aries. Happy birthday to, all them. And then happy wonderful weekend to all of y'all. Wherever you are in the world, I love you. I love y'all so much. I love spending time with you. I really do. And I will put the dates for the next live streams, but I think I might have to do one soon because I promised you I'm going to do a live stream of there's like 10 cycles happening right now that are converging right now, and nobody has even talked about this. Nobody. Maybe they've talked about 2 or 3, but nobody's talked about like there's a lot more, and I need to do that live stream with y'all. All right, anyway, y'all, amazing. I'll see you soon. Have a wonderful weekend. All right, thank you, everybody. Bye bye. Love y'all. Bye bye.